Good morning. Welcome to Western Hills. Book of Genesis today, Genesis 46. Last week we went through Genesis 45 and we covered where Joseph revealed himself, his identity to his brothers. This week, as we get into 46, Jacob's journey to Egypt and his settling in the Goshen area, which is southern Egypt. With that, let's get into our study. Genesis 46, verse 1. With wisdom from our Father, it reads, And Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices unto the God of his father Isaac. Now there's something you want to remember in this verse. Here Israel has all these goodies, and Israel is making the trip. He's going to go see his son, and he's going to see the son that he thought was dead. But at Beersheba, which means the well of the oath, Israel stops and offers sacrifices to the living God out of the gifts that he had been given. This Beersheba, this well of the oath, it's the same well that Isaac made sacrifices. This is the same well where Hagar and Ishmael were waiting for death when God opened their eyes to see the well close by, and God made a covenant with Hagar that Ishmael would live and become the father of many nations. Of course, those nations being the Arab nations today. But here, Israel took time to offer sacrifices unto God. And here's the lesson. Don't ever leave God out of the equation of your life. You see, that's what brings blessings to a person in a person's life. Verse 2. And God spoke unto Israel in the visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. And he said, I am God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. And so it is, God saying to Israel, you're going to be blessed there. Jacob, Israel, his family will grow into a mighty nation in Egypt. And not only that, when they leave, they will come out much richer than they did when they went in. Verse 4. I will go down with thee into Egypt, and I will surely bring thee up again, and Joseph shall put his hand upon thy eyes. In other words, you will see Joseph, but it will be he, when you take your last breath, that will close your eyes. And Jacob will die there, but Joseph will also bring his bones out of Egypt. Verse 5. And Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, and their little ones and their wives in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to carry them. So again, we see this, you see the mixture of the word Jacob and Israel. They're the same person, but when Jacob is used, it's talking about the physical. When we see Israel used, it's the spiritual. But this was pretty good of old Pharaoh to do this, and we'll find out why Pharaoh would be so gentle before we finish this book. Now these carts, they're important to Jacob. I mean, his spirit was revived when he saw the wealth and the technology from Egypt. Verse 6. And they took their cattle and their goods which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him. This shows the faith that Israel had. He brought his entire family down to Egypt. There was nobody left behind in Canaan. And Jacob was all in here. He was all in, but he knew they would be back. Verse 7. His sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Egypt. In other words, they moved everything. Their goods and their cattle, they brought to Egypt. Okay, as we get into the next several verses, 8 through 27, it names the full house of Israel that went down into Egypt. There are 66 people that went together with Jacob, along with the rest of the servants, herdsmen, and wives. And of these, there are 4 already in Egypt. That's Joseph, of course, and his wife and 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. So there's 66 going down. There's 4 there already, which makes 70 Israelites. All right, verse 8. And these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt, Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn. So these names mentioned are the 12 patriarchs, the 12 tribes as they go into Egypt. And they will leave with a number we couldn't name because they would be so numerous. Verse 9. And the sons of Reuben, Hanok, and Phalu, and Hezron, and Carmi, and the sons of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, and Jachin, and Zohar, and Shaul, the son of the Canaanite woman. I want to mention this Canaanite woman. Canaanite, not by blood. She's a Canaanite because she lived among them. And the sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, and the sons of Judah, Onan, Shelah, and Pharez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan, and the sons of Pharez were Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Judah are very special in this Masonic lineage because this is what we call the king line. It's the line of descent to this point where this is the, well, let me say this, the line of descent. And basically it went like this. It goes from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob to Judah to Perez to Hezron. That can be found in Luke chapter 3. And Onan, remember them, they were not Israelites. God killed them. He got rid of them. And Shelah, that would be the third son. He wasn't an Israelite either. Pharez and Zerah, they were Israelites. And if you recall, they were children from Tamar. And the sons of Issachar, Tola, Phuvah, Job, Shimron, and the sons of Zebulun, Sered, and Elon, and Jahleel. These be the sons of Leah, which he bore unto Jacob in Paddan, with his daughter Dinah. All the souls of his sons and his daughters were 33. So Leah was the mother of quite a few. Verse 16. And the sons of Gad, Zivion, and Haggai, Shunai, Ezbron, Eri, Arodi, and Arieli, and the sons of Asher, Jimnah, and Ishua, Izui, Berial, and Sarah, their sister, and their sons of Beriah, Heber, and Malshiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Jacob gave to Leah his daughter, and these she bore unto Jacob, even 16 souls, the sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph, and Benjamin. So you recall Rachel. This was Jacob's favorite, and of course, it was Benjamin that brought about her death. And unto Joseph in the land of Egypt was born Manasseh and Ephraim, which Asnath, the daughter of Pothpharah, priest of On, bore unto him. So just a reminder about this verse. Because Joseph was given his wife in Egypt, it throws many people off thinking that Ephraim and Manasseh would have to be part of Egyptian, but they're not. They were from southern Egypt, and that's where all the shepherd kings were, known as the Hyksos. Means that they were Hebrews. They were Hebrews because Egyptians never have sheep, and they would never have sheep nor tend cattle. That's why cattle is raised in the south by the shepherd kings. And the sons of Benjamin were Bela and Belshir and Ashbel, Gera and Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Muppim and Huppim and Arid. And I wouldn't want to have to say those names together very often. Verse 22. These are the sons of Rachel, which were born to Jacob. All the sons were 14. And the sons of Dan, Husham, and the sons of Naphtali, Jazeel, Guni, Zizar, and Shimeam. These are the sons of Bilhah, which Jacob gave unto Jacob his daughter, and she bore these unto Jacob. All the souls were 7. Bilhah was the handmaid of Rachel. Verse 26. All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' wives, all the souls were 66. 66 is 66 people. So, as we mentioned, 66 people came down. And as we read into the next verse, all the persons of the house of Jacob are 70. In other words, the total number of males of this clan were 70. There were 66 plus Joseph himself. There were 66 plus Jacob himself, and along with Joseph and his 2 sons. So this large family would become a nation of perhaps more than 2 million over the next 400 years. And like many great works of God, we see that Israel had a slow beginning. From the time that God called Abraham, it took 25 years to add 1 son, Isaac. It took Isaac 60 years to add another son, Jacob. It took 50 or 60 years for Jacob to add 12 sons and 1 daughter. But in 430 years, Israel would leave Egypt with more than 6,000 men able to go to able to go to war. And the sons of Joseph which were born him in Egypt were 2 souls, and all the souls of the house of Jacob which came into Egypt were 70. Of course, 70, that's 70, means restoration. So here we have these 70 in this drought-ridden land. And Joseph, with that next to the last son, ruler over all of it. Verse 28. And he sent Judah before him unto Joseph to direct his face unto Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. So Goshen is southern Egypt, and that's where the cattle and sheep are. And as mentioned, sheep were an abomination to the Egyptians, so you don't find Egyptians down there. And Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to meet Israel his father to Goshen, and presented himself unto him, and he fell on his neck, and wept on his neck a good while. And Joseph is the firstborn by Rachel, who was barren for many years, and had Joseph later in her life. And of course, Joseph was a lad of 17 when he left, and when he was sold by his brothers, and now he's a middle-aged man with 2 sons. And here Jacob all this time thought Joseph was dead, but Joseph was alive, and they loved each other a great deal. And this is an exciting time. This is a family reunion of sorts. Verse 30. And Israel said unto Joseph, Now let me die, since I've seen thy face, because thou art yet alive. Now that Jacob learned that Joseph was still alive, he could also say, Let me die, but out of complete contentment, not out of despair. This is how much it meant for Israel to see Joseph again. Verse 31. And Joseph said unto his brethren and unto his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, My brethren and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are come unto me. So here Joseph is giving his brothers the words to say when they enter in before Pharaoh. In other words, Joseph's saying they're going to talk to you and ask you questions. So Joseph is helping to prepare them here. He's saying, this is what you're going to answer. And the men are shepherds, for their trade hath been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. In other words, they're shepherds and they tend cattle. Again, this would be an abomination to the Egyptian, and that's why they're part of the shepherd kings. Verse 33. And it shall come to pass when Pharaoh shall call you and shall say, What is your occupation? This is important. Verse 34. That ye shall say that thy servant's trade hath been about cattle from our youth even until now, but we, and also our fathers, that we may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians. So Joseph didn't bring them to Egypt and give them no home. Joseph was going to provide for their needs in Canaan, and he brought them to the place where he prepared for them. So we kind of see a Jesus type here in both aspects. He takes care of his people in the present, but also gone to heaven and prepared a place for them, and he will receive them to himself. The Egyptians were agricultural in a sense of farming crops. They considered sheep unclean and therefore detested shepherds. But God had a place for his people, but it was a different place, and a place despised by some people. Next week, as we get into 47, we'll see that Joseph deals with the famine in the land. I hope this study's blessed you, and may the Lord richly bless you as you continue to follow his Son. Amen, amen, and amen.